What's up, everybody? This is your favorite cousin Rich. And today I'm bringing something new to you. I'm bringing something real new. I'm gonna have a conversation with ChatGPT, and we're gonna discuss SNAP, EBT, some hypotheticals. Yeah, we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna just keep it short. Let's get into it. Enough talking. Let's get into it. So first, I need to have this disclaimer. I got my notes. I've been thinking about questions to ask this whole week, so I've been compiling them, and we're gonna get into it. First, I gotta have my disclaimer for my chat. Boom. And now, boom. All right. So the first question I'm going to ask ChatGPT is, how much money is spent on SNAP and EBT benefits for the past 10 years? So it just says in the fiscal year of 2013, SNAP was about $115 billion, right? $115 billion. Now we're getting ready to get into it for real, right? In a few sentences, hypothetically, how much money is spent on how much money is spent on unemployed, able-bodied adults with or without kids and children living with adults, and they are not veterans, disabled, or elderly?
There aren't public-facing data that break out exactly how much of Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program SNAP spending goes to just A, able-bodied adults without dependents, ABADs, and B, children living with adults who are not elderly, disabled, or veterans. However, we can offer some rough indicative numbers. ABADs, non-elderly, non-disabled adults without dependents, represent only about 4 to 9% of SNAP participants in recent studies. Food and Nutrition Service, households with children account for about 62% of SNAP participants. Center on budget and policy priorities. The total federal benefit spending for SNAP in FY 2024 was about $99.8 billion. Economic Research Service. Based on those shares, one could hypothetically say, if ABABA 5% of recipients and benefits were roughly proportional, then maybe $5 billion of benefits might go to that group. If households with children are 60% of recipients, then possibly FIRE's $60 billion might go to households with children, including those living with adults. Again, these are very rough back-of-the-envelope numbers, not exact. Would you like me to try digging for more detailed breakout data, state level or administrative, for a more precise estimate?
No. Now let's do this. How much would the economy benefit from the saved resources?
Here's a clear and concise explanation you can use. If SNAP spending were reduced for able-bodied adults who are not working, the resources saved could be redirected into areas that strengthen long-term economic productivity. For example, those funds could be used to expand job training programs, subsidize childcare for working families, reduce national debt interest costs, or support small business development. These reinvestments could help more people enter the workforce, increase consumer spending from earned income rather than assistance, and improve overall tax revenues. Over time, this could create a more self-sustaining economy with greater employment participation and less dependency on government support.
Interesting. Now let's do this. If the saved resources were allocated to low-income, low-resource communities, what impact would be made, especially for the youth? Boom. Let's do this.
Here's a concise, strong explanation you can use. If the saved resources were directed into low-income and low-resource communities, especially for youth, the impact could be transformational. Investments in quality education, mentorship programs, after-school activities, and job training would give young people real skills and pathways into stable careers. Funding could also support community centers, mental health services, trade programs, paid internships, and apprenticeship pipelines, creating positive environments and real economic opportunity. For youth, this means less reliance on street economies, reduced crime involvement, higher graduation rates, and increased confidence in their future. For the community as a whole, it builds a stronger local workforce, attracts business investment, improves neighborhood stability, and helps break generational cycles of poverty. In short, redirecting resources into development rather than dependency creates growth, empowerment, and long-term self-sufficiency.
So it seems like the one thing that we love being on, I'm dramatizing it, but the one thing that a lot of people love being on is the one thing that's holding us back, or one of the pieces of the puzzle that keeps us in this downward cycle that we're in. So basically it's saying that if we redirected the money that we're giving to people who stay at home with their kids on food stamps, if we took that money and just invested it, we would have less crime. We will have kids who have a brighter future. And ironically, it seems like the kids who are, whose parents are on food stamps, I'm not saying all, but we see it. They follow in the same footsteps. So maybe this is generational. Maybe this is a generational curse breaker right here of cutting off their food stamps. Maybe your kids will be forced to go out of here and get it and live a positive life, live a life that they're contributing to society, and society could actually help them get up off their feet. Just saying. My next question is, what kind of stipulations could be made for unemployed, able-bodied adults with or without kids and children living with adults to receive benefits to ward off, freeloading? Had to make a little correction. Boom. Let's see what Chatty got for us. We got a lot.
Here's a balanced, realistic set of stipulations that encourage responsibility and upward mobility rather than simply cutting people off. This avoids punishing children while still preventing long-term freeloading. Reasonable stipulations for able-bodied adults, not elderly, disabled, or veterans. 1. Work requirement or active job search. Must work at least 20 to 30 hours per week, or per-verified weekly job applications, or be enrolled in a job training, trade program, or community college. 2. Mandatory workforce development enrollment. Must take part in resume building, vocational training, interview coaching, or GED completion if not completed. Progress must be documented to remain eligible. 3. Time-limited benefits. Benefits available for a set number of months, e.g. 3 to 6 months, in a 12-month period, unless the person is working or in education training. 4. Drug-free requirement with support. Require random testing, but pair it with free accessible rehabilitation resources, not just punishment. 5. Childcare plus work support. Provide free or subsidized childcare so parents actually can work or attend training. This turns the program into empowerment, not punishment. For households with children, we avoid punishing children for an adult's poor decisions. So the stipulations target the adult's responsibility while ensuring the child is still fed. 1. Parent or guardian must be in one of the following: employment, verified job search, job training, GED trade certification, community college program. 2. School attendance requirement, youth. Children must maintain regular school attendance. If the parent consistently fails to meet responsibilities, benefits shift to a child-focused food account rather than adult use. 3. Participation in youth development programs. Access to after-school programs, sports, arts, trades exploration to prevent idle time and strengthen development. Why these stipulations work. They promote work and education, prevent abuse of benefits, protect children, build long-term economic independence, reduce dependency without creating homelessness or hunger. This approach encourages accountability while also giving people the tools to actually improve their situation, rather than just cutting them off and hoping for the best.
I like this section right here. This right here, this breakdown right here of the reasonable stipulations for able-bodied adults. I highly believe in this. I believe in this. If you're receiving some kind of benefits from the government, you should show that you're putting in some kind of effort to better yourself. Now, if that was the case, I would have no issue with people, receiving benefits in these situations, in these cases. I would have no issue with that. And I think a lot of people would not have no issue with that because you're trying to help yourself, but while you're trying to help yourself, you need some help. That's cool. I think a lot of people's biggest issue is people receiving help or people receiving aid and they're not even wanting to help themselves. More so, they're comfortable in the situations that they're in. And I know a lot of people have this term that, people who are in these situations don't even like being in these situations, or some of them don't, which I can believe is true. But what are you doing to get yourself out of these situations? If you don't like these situations you're in, what are you doing on the day-to-day to get yourself out of them? That's the biggest thing. And if you're not, then obviously you might be comfortable. You might not like it, but you might be comfortable. As we all know, comfortability sometimes is not the greatest thing to be in. But let's continue. If you're still watching, I appreciate y'all for watching. Next question. How can we ensure that people who genuinely need help aren't excluded by strict rules or stricter rules?
Here's a clear, strong way to explain it. To ensure people who genuinely need help aren't excluded, the system must combine accountability with support, not punishment. This means having flexible exemptions and individual case assessments for people facing real barriers like disability, mental health challenges, unstable housing, caregiving duties, or recently losing a job. It also means providing accessible childcare, transportation assistance, and job training, so compliance is possible, not unrealistic. Additionally, benefit reviews should be periodic rather than constant to reduce paperwork obstacles, and local caseworkers or community organizations should help individuals navigate requirements instead of simply cutting them off. With these safeguards, stricter rules encourage work and responsibility, but still ensure that those who truly need support receive it without being trapped in bureaucracy or stigma.
So I like that. And I think a lot of us, we're not cold-hearted. A lot of us who are on the side of, let's reduce the benefits or they don't need benefits and all that, a lot of us are not cold-hearted. We're not. We just don't like the fact that people are milking this system. We understand that there are some cases where people do need assistance. Some people are caregivers. Some people have to be at home. Some people are dependent. Some people, we understand that. We're not, we're not evil. But the thing is there needs to be balance. There needs to be balance. And I like this right here. Oop, what I do? Uh-oh. Yeah, excuse me. But flexible exemptions and individual case assessments, that's beautiful. Where, it's on a case-by-case system. It's not black and white. It's, okay, you in this case, we can see where you need some help. We're going to give you a little bit more. Or you over here, you've been over here for 8 months. You've been on this for 8 years and you still ain't trying. No, we're going to cut it off because you look like you comfortable. But you've been over here, you recently lost your job and this and this and this. Okay, we got you. So I like that. I like that a lot. But let's continue. Non-biased. Do you believe the current welfare system encourages or discourages, Do you believe the current welfare system encourage or discourage motivation to work? I chopped that up. I was doing this while I was working. So excuse me. It knows what I'm talking about. Basically, do you believe the system is encouraging people or discourages people to, work, basically? Let's see what Chatty say.
Here's a balanced, non-biased explanation. The impact of welfare systems on motivation to work is mixed and depends largely on the structure of the benefits and the individual's circumstances. In some cases, welfare provides essential stability, food, housing, medical care, so a person can focus on finding work, especially during hardship. For many people, benefits act as a temporary safety net, and they do return to work once they are able. However, when benefits phase out too sharply as income rises, called a benefits cliff, it can create a situation where earning more money results in no net gain or even a loss in support. In these cases, the system can discourage work because the individual may feel financially punished for improving their situation. So the answer is not simply encourage or discourage. It depends on how well the system balances two goals. One, providing a safety net for those in real need, and two, ensuring that working or improving one's skills always leads to a clear financial benefit. The systems that work best are the ones where benefits taper gradually as income rises instead of dropping all at once. Job training and employment support are built into the program. Work leads to more stability and more opportunity, not less. In short, welfare can support motivation when it's designed to help people transition upward, but it can discourage motivation when the path upward is blocked by financial penalties.
Which I get it. I get that part. And I think it has more so to do with the economy and things of that sort. But I do get that because there was a guy that I was working with and he was receiving unemployment benefits and he was receiving like some kind of SNAP or something like that, right? And he said that as soon as he got employed, it just dropped off. Like I think he said he was receiving like $200 something a month or something like that. And when he got employed, it dropped to like 50. And I get that, but I think that's that gap that we have to work on is it the economy? Is it inflation? Things of that sort, at one point in time, $50 could have got you a lot in the grocery store. Now it can't. So I think that has a lot more to do with the economy more so than anything. But it's true though. Also, if you're going from unemployed to employed, or you're going from, unemployed and you're on SNAP to now employed, I think the type of job that you have as well, if you're receiving minimum wage and they cut it off dramatically, yeah, it's going to hurt. But if you're going unemployed to an accounting position or, something where you get some kind of substantial income, then that jump off or that drop off may not hurt you as much. So I think it really boils down to what are you transitioning into or transitioning from, and also the economic status. How is the economy going at that time? Is the inflation, is the prices high, and all those things? I think that plays a big role in this part. And the last question, non-biased. Do you believe the current welfare system hurts or helps able-bodied individuals and the long-term effects of being a dependent on the system? Boom.
Here is a clear, non-biased, balanced answer. For able-bodied adults, welfare systems can both help and hurt, depending on how the support is structured and how long someone remains on it. How welfare helps able-bodied adults. It provides immediate stability during job loss, emergencies, or transitions. It prevents homelessness, hunger, and crisis-driven decision-making. When paired with job training, skill building, or education programs, it can help individuals re-enter the workforce stronger than before. In these cases, welfare acts as a temporary lift, not a permanent living situation. How welfare can hurt able-bodied adults long-term. If a person becomes long-term dependent, the effects can shift. reduced motivation to work when benefits are more convenient than low-wage jobs, loss of work habits, routine, discipline, skill growth, lower confidence to compete in the workforce, risk of learned helplessness, relying on assistance instead of problem solving. Children in long-term dependent households may internalize dependency as normal, continuing the cycle. The key issue is not the welfare system itself, but when support becomes long-term without a pathway to independence. Bottom line, non-biased, short-term welfare generally helps able-bodied adults by stabilizing them. Long-term welfare without training or work pathways can hurt by weakening motivation, self-sufficiency, and long-term economic mobility. The most effective welfare models worldwide are those that provide support when needed, but tie benefits to work participation, education, or job development, ensuring there is always a clear advantage to working over staying on benefits.
I love this part right here where it says, children in long-term dependent households may internalize dependency as normal, continuing the cycle. And I think that's one of the biggest issues is where you see your parents or you see your parent finessing the system, living on SNAP, living on welfare, living on Section 8 their whole life, your whole life. And now you become of age and you find it easier to do that than go get a job and be self-sufficient. I think that's one of the worst things right now that we see in this system, besides people just milking the system, is the continuance on, the continuing the cycle. I think that's the biggest issue. So to sum it all, I don't think we, the people, have a giant issue with people receiving SNAP benefits, EBT, that little bridge. We don't have an issue with that because we never know when we're going to be in a position to where we may need it. But I think the people who are in those positions, right, are people who want to work, people who want to contribute to society, people who want to do right. And I think the people that we just are disgusted with at this point, just keep it real, the people that we're not very fond of are the ones who milk the system. So does the system need to do away with? No. But I think, personally, me speaking, I think there needs to be stipulations. And I think there needs to be an overhaul on this whole SNAP and EBT kerfuffle that's going on. I really do believe that. I really do. But anyway, this is your favorite cousin Rich. If you like this, I'm going to get more tighter with this. But if you like this, anything you want me to talk about, any kind of conversation, anything of that sort, let me know. Again, I greatly do appreciate y'all for watching. Y'all be safe out there. Love and blessings.